What's up guys, Americana back here with another video. Ethereum does not work this hard to reach 4-year all-time highs just to reject. History shows that this typically ends one way, and that's with the breakout. So if you're calling for Ethereum to roll over or the cycle top to be in, you've been warned. Let's get into the video. Alright guys, I can think of off the top of my head about 5 to 10 examples of this to show you guys. But we are going to go through 3 here, and hopefully that's enough. If you guys have any further questions, definitely let me know in the comments. All right, so on chart here, we have Ethereum's market cap on the left side, Bitcoin's market cap on the right side, and we will get into what fractal this is here, okay? So you guys have heard me say, and you guys will see in other videos this week, what I'm targeting when it comes to Ethereum, how I'm going about exiting, and how high I think it can actually go this cycle. In other videos, you'll see me mention this 4.236 extension, which sits around $2 trillion. I understand to some people, when I say that, it sounds a little bit crazy, or people have, not that they have an issue with how I go about assuming that we can go that high, but just, they see these fib extensions and they kind of BS warning of like, how is he going about that? Or why does it work? Or how can he say this is going to happen, or that these fib extensions will get, hit, or that it will go that high, or that this is, Ethereum is actually breaking out, or whatever the questions or the hesitation they might have around something like this. So we're going to try to get some of those answered this video. So looking at Ethereum, and as I mentioned in other videos, I'm targeting the 1.618, 2.618, and 3.618 extension, with the 4.236 being as high as I could possibly seeing it go this cycle. From a price perspective, this is like $15,500 to $16,000, and it's about a $2 trillion market cap. So a 300 to 400% move in Ethereum to get that high from here when it comes to market cap. So let's look at our first example here. This is a recent one, which you guys should be familiar with, but on the right side here, we have, let me move this over a little bit, we have Bitcoin's market cap, and we have this same similar structure that we see over here, where we, crash, we retrace, and then we have some sort of reaccumulation pattern before reaching all-time highs again. So let me see if I can paste this over here. The timing won't be exactly the same, but we have crash, we have retrace, and then we have our reaccumulation phase in here, before reaching back to the all-time high. And I say all this to say because typically when you get coins, assets, anything that follows this pattern, indices, commodities, whatever it is, of this crash, retracing back to the Fibonacci retracements and reaccumulating specifically with some sort of like violent correction in here and a V bottom out, you get back to these all-time highs 99 out of 100 times. It does not fail. It does not tend to roll over from here. That is not the top of the market. That's not how things come in. It's not a distributive pattern. It is an accumulation schematic, which means we typically break out and we typically get to hit our extensions. All right, so let's dive into the fractal we have in orange. What is this? Again, I kind of showed you the side-by-side when I pulled the drawing over here. This is just Ethereum's chart laid over Bitcoin that you can see past cycle or last cycle, Clearly very similar when it comes to schematic, when it comes to even some of the timing of things, when these things kind of start come in, when these declines come in, and then obviously when these kind of breakouts can happen. It's not going to be exactly perfect timing, especially because we broke out a little bit early last cycle, having this double top, which I don't think we are going to have this cycle. It is very eerily similar to see, again, the same kind of thing, crash, retrace, back up to retracement, reaccumulation, V bottom, and then get out to the 4.236 extension. And if you guys don't believe me yet, I want to show another example here. Okay, so I want to move this, I don't want you to think I'm making stuff up. There's very little data in here. So I took the highest data point and the lowest data point down here to kind of get this Fibonacci. You'll see me how I take Fibonacci extensions in other videos this week. Just to show this example, I think it's good to know that this has worked time and time again, especially on data that wasn't even computerized at the time. So this is silver. This is silver's price chart from 1802 to about 1974, 1975 in here. So over 150 years, however many years this is. And again, I kind of had to draw this in so you could see a little bit more clear. But we had something similar, right? We had a crash, we had a retrace, we had a reaccumulation, we got back to the highs, and then what did we do is go out and hit these extensions. Obviously, Bitcoin, we have our cycles, we have our tied to like the macro markets and things like that. So that's why we kind of differ from silver in here, which is where we would typically see some sort of bear market before probably doing the same thing again and continuing much higher. But I just wanted to show you guys an example. This is about 150 something years, 160, 170 something years of data that was relatively not computerized at all, still following these same technical patterns of when we do get a crash, when we do get a retracement, when we do get a reaccumulation, when we do get this V bottom, when we do press back to all-time highs, we typically do go out to hit these fib extensions. Just something interesting, just something to look at. So I'm not just cherry picking data. I'm not just looking at recent data. This isn't a recent phenomenon. I'm not just looking at crypto only, right? This happens across a lot of markets, a lot of assets, a lot of time frames, and it's something to look for, right? Silver is even actually doing something vaguely similar right now. And I'm sure some of you guys are going to call out what this is, right? Very obvious cup and handle. But even a cup and handle is some variation of crash, retrace, reaccumulation, even with a little V bottom kind of situation going on, and likely going to go out and hit extensions on silver. If I get to sell all my crypto and rotate into silver just before it breaks out, we'll gladly do so. That would be awesome. But again, just so you can see that playing out, this is an example of it working in times when we didn't even have computers, and it playing out currently, right? And this chart is from 1979 to 2025, right? So over a long period of time, and across different varying assets, this stuff works, right? So don't let people call for tops in here. Don't let people, call that we're going to roll over or that we can't. It's insane to call for a $2 trillion Ethereum when I've showed you guys that it is relatively possible. All right, guys, that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions, just let me know in the comments. Appreciate all the new subscribers, all the new commenters. I appreciate y'all's support, feedback, anything. Just let me know in the comments. Also, I have some free materials in my bio if you guys want those. I know in some of the short form content, I kind of just like tag you guys and send you the link. But you can also click that and access those there. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.